I'm Ben, one of the developers of the Straple design system, and today we're going to take a look at how to build your own components within the Straple framework. So what we have with the Straple design system is a base framework. What we try to do is focus on atomic elements as opposed to UI kits, full components. Here we want the designer to be able to develop the UI and the UX without focusing too much on the production. So we've given you all the elements you could possibly need to combine. This means that you're looking at less subjective UI kits, which can work in some cases, but sometimes not in others. There's more workload to change that UI kit to accommodate that brand or the functionality and the variations. So what we've done is tried to make it as simple as possible to combine those to build out your own custom components. Let's take a look at how we can do that. So let's take a look at building custom components inside of Sketch. We've got our Straple design system folder here, which we've copied to our desktop and renamed demo. Let's just open that for now. So here you can see that we have an application already designed. This is a recipe app that we've put together for mobile, and the imagery used here is from the Rustic Vegan. Go over to Unsplash, check out the Rustic Vegan, or go over to therusticvegan.com if you want to check out his recipes. His photography is super awesome, really vibrant and colourful. I think you'll really love it. So looking at this application, you can see that here we have a series of cards, and these cards are individual recipes, and we're going to take a look at how we built this card. So if we take a look here, we're going to delete this particular card, and then what we're going to do is essentially wireframe at this point. When we start the project, we want to lay out roughly where we're going to be putting components so we can kind of focus on the structure and the hierarchy of our content. So for now, we're just going to go to Insert, I'm going to take a shape, and we're going to draw a rectangle. And we're going to define the spacing and the size of this rectangle. So we're going to say 280. Let's center that. So now we have this shape, which is about 280 and 450 in height. So let's copy this, and then we're going to go open our Straple framework, and we're going to move down to custom components. We'll create a new layer and then call it cards. You can see here that we've already done that, and we've also defined spacing in this example so that when we output this for development, they can see what those values are. But for now, what we're going to do is just paste this card here. And then what we're going to do is use this as our initial mask. So I'm going to rename this mask. And what we're going to do here is we're going to drop in an image. So if we go over to our Straple design system, go to Symbols, Images, and then we're just going to add a portrait image in. So let's drop that in. The image here is just one of the images that we included in the bundle. You can replace this for anything you want at this point. Let's just drag that size over, center that, and what we're going to do is rename this as recipe image. This is going to be nested, so I'm just going to add this so we can see that it's nested. And then we're going to mask these two together. And we're going to call this recipe card. In fact, what we'll actually do is rename this to the actual structure we want to use inside, because we're adding a new component to the Straple design system. And when we're doing that, we're building on our initial framework. So what we will do is we'll call it UI, components, cards, and then the name of the card that we're going to call it. So recipe 2, because we already have a recipe card, so we can just rename that there. So then we're going to expand this, we're going to take our mask, and we're going to apply a radius of, say, 10 to that. Let's go 12. And then we want to choose an image. So let's double click in here. Let's grab our image, choose image. We're going to navigate to our demo folder, and then we're going to go to Assets, Photos, and here we've got Product Photos, and we're using the Rustic Vegan. So within our system, what we look to do is provide the structure where you would drop information. So if you were using landscape imagery or something more specific, you would create those folders so that we can maintain where that imagery is stored. But for the case of this, we're just going to grab this imagery. Let's grab the cupcake one for now. Drop that in. And here we go. There's a cupcake image. But it's quite dark at the moment. And the reason it's dark is because our imagery actually has a series of options. So we have an overlay, which I'll turn off. And then we have a gradient top and a gradient bottom, because we may have text at the top and the contrast of that image might not stand out in the text. So we may want to have some form of overlay just to accommodate that. But in the case of this, we don't need one for the top. We'll keep the one for the bottom for now. So let's zoom in. And now we're going to add some text. So we're going to go in here and we're going to go draw our box. And we'll leave it at type something for now. Let's make sure that we are the correct width. There we go. And then we will go down to our text layers and we're going to choose light. And we'll go down to H2 secondary and say left. So let's actually reduce that a little bit more. H3 secondary left. And that looks about right. So we'll call this a cup. Okay. Recipe. Nom. So now we've got the text that's added in, and we're going to rename that layer recipe title. We're going to drag that into our folder. And now what we're going to do is add our meta information. And again, we're just going to create our text file. I'm going to say time. We're going to choose our light. It's meta information. We want it really small, so we'll choose smallest. And then we'll go left. So here we go. I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. Level. Rating. Let's drag these into the folder as well. And now we're going to add some actual values for this. So 32 minutes. Let's say that it's a beginner course. And actually we're not adding the rating there, so let's align these together. And for this we're going to go down to our light again, but we're going to choose a paragraph style, and let's go down to smallest for now. You can work out the spacing and the values out. It's a good idea to use your grids and also baselines. We've included baselines in some of these systems, and we'll show you how to set that up in another tutorial. But for now, this looks reasonable enough. So now we want to add our rating system in. So we'll go to Insert, Symbol, down to our UI. We'll go to our components, and we're going to add a rating in. So let's drop that in there, resize the rating. Let's move this over a little bit. And again here, because we've added this component, we have controls over each individual icon. So let's set the icon color to white for this one. Let's change that to mid, actually. And then we're going to go white. And then white for the last one. So now we've got our rating system in. We can always drop, if we don't want 5, we can drop one of the icons. So we can drop the last one, hit that to none. So we can have a 4 rating system here. And then the last thing that we want to add here is, let's actually just drag these in. Let's call this hyphen rating. Let's also drag that in here. And then we're going to add our avatar. So again, inserts as normal, symbols, down to our avatars, and then we're just going to add our image avatar. Rescale this down. Let's get rid of the border, because we don't need a border on this avatar. Let's choose an image. Let's go back to our photos, people, and we've already taken the Rustic Vegans image here, which he's kindly let us use, and we're going to add that in there. So I'm going to grab all of these, drop them in. Let's make sure that these sit underneath the correct ones, so that when this is now converted to a component, that we can actually see them in the correct order. We'll call this avatar. And that's it. So we've created our custom component. We can now create this symbol, call it UI components cards recipe 2, confirm that, and there we go. Now all of our overrides are available to us. And also when we now move down to our symbols inside our framework, we can now move over to custom components. Let's delete this one because that's from the old version. We'll drag this down into our custom components, and there we go. So we have just duplicated this. We don't necessarily need this card, but for the purpose of showing how we can develop our custom components out, we can put this one together. And then we go back to saving this file, move over to our base file. So where we have the placeholder that we had earlier, all we need to do now is replace with, come down to our demo file, UI, components, cards, and recipe 2. Now it's placed in the exact position that we wanted that, and that's how you make custom components inside of the Straple design system.